Hello and welcome to the next video in the My Tank series. Today I'm going to be doing a video specifically on my PZ.IV H. It's quickly become probably my most used and favourite tank in my German lineup, and actually in my entire tank lineup. Bit of a story behind how I ended up with the PZ.IV. After playing World of Tanks for a while on PC and console, I wasn't actually interested in even getting a PZ.IV. I'd seen them on the battlefield, of course, all the time, as you do, and saw them get destroyed quite regularly, and I myself always rubbed my hands with glee, really, when I saw a PZ.IV on the battlefield, because I'd pretty much specifically target them and destroy them pretty quickly. Of course, occasionally I was destroyed by a PZ.IV. I mean, you get destroyed by every tank as you go along, but yeah, I really never understood why anyone would use one. I always presumed it was just people grinding their way through the medium tank German line, which of course would have been a part of that. After quite some time, I think I came to a stage where I was a bit bored with World of Tanks, and I sort of wanted to get a new tank, and thought I'd go back and actually get a PZ.IV and just see if there was anything that I liked about it to keep it in the lineup. When I first started using it, I actually didn't think a lot of it, and it definitely met the expectations that I had for the tank itself. I found it to be a little bit slow, poorly armoured, not very well armed, and just, yeah, not a very fun experience. After grinding it for a while, I decided to persist with it. I upgraded to the second gun on it, and of course the mobility changed a little bit with that as well. Found it to be quite a bit better. And of course I saw that there was a derp gun in the lineup, the 10.5 centimeter, and thought I'd keep grinding and pick up that gun and see maybe that would be the trick that got me into, yeah, I think that this tank had some value. As soon as I got to that gun and started using it, I really fell in love with this tank. I think it also took me a while to understand the subtleties of the tank itself, its good points and bad points, which I'll get to in a moment, which it does have a few of each. But now I love the tank, and I probably use it the first time I log into World of Tanks every time. Just to have a quick fun game and see what kind of damage I can do to the enemy. As you can see, I've got quite a few crew skills adding up on this tank. I'm on my 8th skill at the moment. That certainly helps. I did train up some of the skills on my PZ.IV/4. Probably about half of them I have trained up in the PZ.IV itself though, so yeah, it's not a bad tank to be able to train up crew on. You can have some really great games in this tank if you can get into the right position to use it. You'll also find on my channel quite a few videos that I've kept of the PZ.IV. I'll put a link to in a few of those in the description, so you can have a look at a couple of the battles I've used with it. But yeah, now let's have a look at it in a little bit more detail. So yeah, it starts off with at the L43 7.5, which I didn't find to be a fantastic gun by any means. As you can see, the standard rounds are 103 pen and 110 damage. Yeah, it does have a fairly good rate of fire. Not super accurate. Okay aiming time, but yeah, I found that quite underwhelming. Once I got to the L48, this is where I started to feel that I don't know, it just started to seem to work for me. I think maybe the accuracy is a little bit better. I think it's a very similar rate of fire. A little bit better pen and damage. But eventually, yeah, like I said, I worked my way across to this gun, which I think is one of the best guns in the entire German lineup. You can see there it does quite a large amount of damage. Has a reasonable rate of fire as well. Actually is surprising with the aiming time and accuracy. It can be, sometimes it will surprise you with its accuracy, and sometimes it disappoints you with the accuracy, but that's the nature of dirt guns, I guess. Yeah, very enjoyable gun to use. So here's the stats, yeah, specifically for the ammunition types. So 9 times out of 10 I fire just the normal high explosive. The great thing about it is that it has the potential to do anywhere between 308 to 513 damage. It can one-shot a lot of tanks. And that's where I think the most fun can be had in this tank, is just sitting back and lobbing those shells, destroying those light tanks, artillery, tank destroyers, and picking on those tanks that are perhaps a little bit damaged already. Also great for knocking out modules like guns, and definitely on tracks. It's quite easy to track enemy tanks. Of course, the accuracy can sometimes not help with that, but yeah, it is a good gun for tracking tanks. When I do need to, I want to switch over to a premium round. It does have a lot more penetration, almost double in fact, and only a little bit less damage, which is quite good. But like I said, 9 times out of 10 I find the normal high explosive rounds to be fine, which makes this tank quite a good money earner. Not having to use any premium rounds, you can really yeah, stack up some good money and some good XP in it. I run my typical consumables, which is the first aid kit, repair kit, and fire extinguisher. One thing with this tank, you will find that it gets ammo racked on the odd occasion, as the armour on it, which we'll get to in a moment, isn't fantastic. I actually don't run any armour piercing. I save all my ammo for the high explosive rounds. I did use armour piercing for a little while, but just found the high explosive rounds were a lot more fun. As far as the equipment goes, I use everything that I would use typically for a tank when I want to be a bit more of a sniping tank. So, of course, the camouflage net and the binoculars really gives this tank some good potential for sniping. And the medium caliber rammer, it definitely helps. Most of my tanks that I would use in a sniping role would have this configuration. Possibly the rammer might be swapped out for something else, but the binoculars and camo nets, yeah, really good. The crew itself, as I showed you before, I've got quite a few skills built up. Most of them are built around that sniper role. Camouflage, of course, give it even more camouflage power. Muffled shot and silent driving. All of those help, yeah, in a sniper role. I did get repairs, as I found when I do play this role in more of a when I do play it in more of a medium tank role, that sort of scouting / brawling / support tank. I find the repairs come in quite handy, especially when you're getting tracked. Deadeye, of course, is a great skill to have. And situational awareness, just to help with the view range in all circumstances. And Brothers in Arms is, of course, something that I get for most tanks. It'll help you out in all circumstances. And I'm currently training Sixth Sense, which is a good skill when you are a sniper, as of course it lets you know when you've been detected. And getting detected is one thing that does hurt this tank. Okay, so on to the armour, and it's going to be a pretty quick story here because, as you can see, it doesn't have a great amount of armour. If you're lucky enough to be in a tier 5 and you're top tier, it's actually surprising that a lot of tanks, you know, can get stopped by this tank's armour. It is flat armour, as you can see, but it can do the job. Put it on a little bit of an angle too, and it can suffice. But your great skill really is to either remain hidden or pop in and out of cover there, maybe behind a rock or a building. Once you've upgraded the tank itself, it does have quite a bit of manoeuvrability, which I'll go on to in a moment. But armour is definitely not its strong point. Now the other thing is, I'll just pop up the overview there, because it is quite interesting actually, where it says it was mass produced alongside the G, and there was a total of 3,774 tanks of the H version manufactured, which is pretty amazing. And of course there's always been quite a large argument that if they had concentrated on just making Panzer IVs, the Germans might have had a little bit more success, instead of going after the manufacturing of the larger tanks such as the Tiger and Tiger II. But you can find out a bit more information about that yourselves, I'm sure, doing a bit of research on the internet. Okay, so what are some of the reasons why I love this tank so much? I guess one of the main reasons for it, of course, is the gun. I've shown you the damage that it can do, and of course at the end of this video I'll have a collage of videos of this tank doing what it does best, and that's throwing big rounds down and obliterating enemy tanks. I love the fact that it's such a great all-round tank. I guess medium tanks are known for that anyway. But I find a lot of German tanks are very specific to their role. And I love the fact that this tank, you can really do anything in it. You can use it in a bit of a scouting role, sniping role, brawling role, support role. With a big gun on it, it's essentially it feels to me like a tank destroyer as well. The only thing it can't really do is be some mobile mobile artillery. I find its armour suffices, and like I said, as long as you don't go too silly and pick your targets and pick when to go forward, the armour's actually not too bad, and the hit points can be enough to, you know, get you out of trouble when you have moved a bit too far forward or get spotted by a flanking tank or something. You have got that little bit of HP to get out of there. The gun is, well, like I said, one of its strong points though, and if you play this tank the way it's designed to be to be played, it's definitely not a gung-ho tank by any means, but I think you'll have a great deal of fun in it. And it's one of those German tanks that I think you sort of have to have one in the garage. At one stage I certainly wouldn't have thought that, but after having one now and enjoying it so much, if I only had perhaps 5 German tanks, this would definitely be in my garage. I love it to bits. So yeah, in summary, I think you can't go really too far wrong with it as a tier 5 medium tank. You can use the 7.5 centimeter in it if you're more into those kind of guns, but I highly recommend the 10.5. I think it looks great with that gun as well. It's just a great looking tank too. It's one of those classic German tanks. Just the look of it is just beastly. To me, it's just beautiful. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to the last part of the video, which is where I'm going to just attach a bit of a collage of destruction from this tank. Yeah, it's definitely the part of the video that I think you'll enjoy. This gun, as I said, just throws down bombs, and I just love obliterating enemy tanks in one shot. And it can surprise a lot of enemies with its firepower. So if you see one on the battlefield, perhaps yeah, don't rub your hands with glee too quickly, because it can be a deadly weapon in the right hands. But thanks for watching, and I hope you'll check out some of my Panzer IV videos in the description. And enjoy the collage of destruction. Thanks for watching.
Ausgeschaltet. Der ist Geschichte. Wirkungstreffer. Sie haben uns entdeckt. Leg los.
I mean, that is crazy shit.
I lost my track, but...
Gegnerfahrzeug
Oh,
ausgeschaltet.
fuck. Here, let's run circles around this. Maybe not.
Kette wurde getroffen. Signalierung entreißen. Feuererlaubnis erteilt. Wir haben ihn im Korn. Gegnerfahrzeug ausgeschaltet. Unsere ganze Artillerie wurde zerstört. Ziel erfasst. Feuererlaubnis erteilt.
I was there. The first time I did it, it was like 15 seconds. I was like, damn, man.
You gotta shoot in the cheeks of that KV 220.
Yeah,
like
well, I
don't
know,
try to
but
shoot him
he's
anywhere
not
but in
close.
the turret.
He's not
Oh
close.
really?
Leg los! Gegnerisches Fahrzeug ausgeschaltet. Wir haben sie. Verlasse Ziel. Gegnerisches Fahrzeug ausgeschaltet. Gegnerfahrzeug ausgeschaltet. Gegnerfahrzeug ausgeschaltet. Erwischt. Ziel erfasst. Sie haben uns entdeckt. Der Gegner hat nur noch einen Panzer. Einer weniger. Ha, der ging voll durch ihre Panzerung. Der ist Geschichte. Ich sehe einen. Der Gegner hat uns im Visier. Gegner schrottreif. Gegner gesichtet. Der Gegner zieht auf uns. Wir haben einen Verbündeten verloren. Gegnerfahrzeug ausgeschaltet. Bereit zu feuern.
Exactly. I would be.
Gegnerfahrzeug ausgeschaltet.